Well, someone who's been on our Trump journey since Outsiders began 8 years ago is, of course, Benji Irby, and we're delighted to have Benji on this momentous occasion back on Outsiders where he belongs. Benji, great to see you. Been watching you on other networks in America, so well done. That career's taken off. You're doing some great work there. But you were at the Madison Square Gardens rally the other day, the one that they said was a Nazi rally and all this sort of stuff. You were there. We got some great pictures we'll put up of you there. But tell us about it. What's it looking like for Donald Trump from your point of view, Benji?
Well, the rally was great. I mean, I'm definitely enjoying my, dance party with Beyonce. I mean, I'm having the time of my life. That's like the jam of like this whole thing right now, the dance party Beyonce. I love that Donald Trump is doing so well with the youth and with TikTok. I'm not even on TikTok. I'm 41. I'm too old for TikTok, but Trump is on there. So, I mean, I think that's amazing. As far as the rally is concerned, that was actually my first Trump rally. I've been on the Trump train since, day one, 8 years ago. That was my first rally ever going to. It was almost like, it was like a small DNC because it was more than what we normally see online. We have Trump, he does his, greatest hits, and we all love Trump and the greatest hits, but everybody was there. And I didn't know until I got there on the line outside that like Elon was going to be there and Tulsi Gabbard and Tucker, which is amazing. I'm a big fan of Tucker. So it was great. It was so much love in the room. 20,000 people. One thing they couldn't say there was no crowd. They couldn't lie about the crowd size. I mean, it was so packed that there were literally people sitting on the stairs. Right next to me. So like there was literally no room for anyone. So I'm really glad that went over well. It was a homecoming for myself, me being a native New Yorker, and also for Donald Trump because, he's also from New York. So to have a Republican do an event there, the last time I saw a Republican in the Madison Square Garden was 2004. I believe George W. had his convention there. But as far as Trump on the campaign trail, as far as him winning, I definitely see that. I see that a lot because of black men like myself, black men in certain areas, in important areas in swing states, like here in Philadelphia, Detroit, Phoenix as well. And we're actually moving the needle for Trump, and I'm really happy to see that. I really do see a win on Tuesday.
I'm hearing some accounts that maybe 1 in 2 black men may vote for Donald Trump, which if you know anything about the voting record of black Americans, they've had 90% voting Democrat for a long time. It's just they've just expected that. So can you see that happening? Could you just see 1 in 2 black men voting Republican?
1 in 2 is high. But
it's high. It's the highest I've heard, but...
Right, but I can see 1 in 4, and I'm going to tell you this. I mean, I've actually compiled this. Black men are actually sick of the Democrats and are voting for Trump for many reasons. One is a failure to produce reparations. California exposed Democrats' lies on reparations. When challenged by a California state Republican to put reparations to an actual vote on the floor, they folded because the Democrats never planned on doing reparations in the first place. It was a ruse to secure black votes, as I said on this program last year. Student loans also being in that same vein of a lie. Also, there's legal immigration. At the time that Democrats are saying no to black people for reparations, black men are watching that the Democrats that we vote for are spending billions of our tax dollars putting illegals up in 4- and 5-star hotels in New York City at $500 a night. I mean, we're seeing videos of illegals stepping over homeless black Americans on the street to go into these hotels that the black American taxpayer is paying for. And American black men who have been complaining forever about police brutality and over-policing are literally watching illegals get away with murder right in front of us, on top of the fact that their presence here is a crime. So I say the Democrats had a choice between black men and illegals. They chose legals, so we're choosing Trump. Also, there's the LGBT agenda and school choice. I mean, no black man, white man, or any actual man is for the Democrats pushing LGBT and trans ideology on children. But one of the many ways that we get around this is school choice. But of course, Democrats aren't for that. Also, we're tired of pandering, fear tactics, and denial of agency, because black men, obviously we are men, and like men, we are naturally hate being told what to do. So when I tell people that I support Trump, people say things like, oh, you hate yourself, you hate your mother, you're a coon, you want to be white, oh, the police kill you, Trump is going to give police immunity to kill black men, which is also not true. But I mean, to that, I reply, what if I just like Trump's policies better? Like, what if I'm for lower taxes and the use of tariffs to set off our national debt? What if I'm for mass deportation of illegals, as most black men are, and the abolishment of birthright citizenship, which most black men are for? I'm I'm also for Trump's drill, baby, drill energy exploration program. I'm for RFK's whole, make America healthy again agenda to get rid of seed oils and carcinogens in our foods. I lean libertarian, so I'm all for Elon Musk and Ron Paul trimming the fat at our government agencies. And I like that Trump was the only president in the modern era not to start a new war. So why is it that I, as a black man, cannot make political decisions based on policy, logic, or my personal financial situation like everybody else does? Why is it that I, as a black man, have to base my entire political calculus on the possibility of me being pulled over and killed by a police officer when the president and the federal government don't even control the police? Police are funded by state and local municipalities. So when they say that Trump's going to give police power and immunity to kill black people, that's a lie. Like, the immunity that Trump speaks of is police having immunity from frivolous civil lawsuits, not criminal charges. So Trump cannot and is not going to give police power to kill anyone. And when you look further at the cases of like George Floyd and Eric Garner and people like that, most of those tragedies happen in places where Democrat mayors and their appointed police commissioners are in control. There's not a Republican in sight. So I just feel like once I realize the Democrats' lies, I'm just sick of it. And I just feel like black men are just not valued by Democrats unless we are dead or in a dress. So it's like, unless you're George Floyd or Billy Porter, there's really nothing else left for any black men in between. So I've said all that to say that Democrats deserve every bit of the electoral ass whooping that they are going to get on Tuesday for all their lies and their years of neglect. And maybe in 2028, once Trump gets his last fall off, they can come back, stop the lies, stop the fear pandering, stop with the police gonna kill you and the George Floyd stuff, and talk to black men like you talk to everybody else about finances and taxes and things that actually matter. But again, for the black men that are coming over to Trump, I really don't see them going back, because I always say, once a conservative black, he ain't never going back.
Benji, just very quickly before we go, you mentioned a homecoming. Now, outsiders viewers know that you were the New York cab driver all those years ago when we first spoke. And you left New York. You went first. You moved down to, I remember it was North or South Carolina. Florida. Then you moved further down to Florida.
I was in Virginia for a while, in Florida. Yeah, I moved south during COVID, like everybody else who had some sense did. Yeah,
exactly. And now you're back in New York. To go to the rally. So what was it like? What was the atmosphere like? You mentioned it was a homecoming for Donald Trump as well. Are New Yorkers themselves, is there any chance that we could see New York flipping to Donald Trump, or will that remain solidly Democratic? What was the vibe for you catching up with your old mates and so on?
Well, I would say that New York has already had some flipping, not necessarily the city or the whole state, but some of the House seats in the suburbs have already flipped toward the Republicans. That's why the Republicans have the House right now. There was a mayoral race the governor race in 2022, where the Republican, I forgot his name escapes me. He's from Long Island. He actually almost won against Kathy Hochul. He was like 5 points away from her, which is crazy in a state like New York. So even though the city probably will never flip, there are seats in the suburbs and people who are affected by, the illegals and all the things that they've done to our fair New York. I mean, me and Trump's fair New York, they've taken our hometown and turned into God knows what. But there are people in the suburbs who are affected and they're voting Republican. And that's why I actually had someone even tell me today they're actually running a lot of Kamala commercials in New York. So they're probably scared of her slipping. I don't see New York ever quite going for the Republican, but I do see those margins getting slimmer and slimmer and slimmer as years go on. So maybe in 3 or 4 election cycles, New York may be able to be flipped.
Benji Irby, always great to chat to you. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing your thoughts with us. And going to be a great day on Tuesday. Looking forward to it. Benji Irby there in New York.